game because why wouldn't you throw Calvin Johnson on you? Down 10, you want to go to your best player, which Calvin Johnson is their best player. And Stafford, who, by the way, Detroit scores more points in the fourth quarter than they did in the fourth quarter than they did the whole season. So their fourth quarter is time where they pull games out, like Vic was doing for the Eagles. And at this point, let me say this to you. The wide 9, I don't see anyone else using it in all football. Babin and Trent Cole couldn't catch flies. They haven't had a sack in such a long time. The only sack that they're ever going to have if they buy potatoes in a sack and bring them home. But their sack exchange, and Babin's 18.5 sacks and Trent Cole's 14 sacks last year, collectively 32.5 sacks or maybe even more, they won't even come close this year. What the real problem is the offensive line, the offensive play calling, and that falls on Andy Reid. Marty Mornhinweg might be thinking, and the public might think that Marty Mornhinweg makes all the offensive calls, but it's not him. It's Andy Reid doing it. Andy Reid has been in Philadelphia for 14 or 15 years. I've lost count. He hasn't lost any calories, but I've lost count how many years he's been here. And I can say one thing. Andy Reid has won a lot of championships, or got to championship games, won 1 out of 5. 8-8 last year, 3-3 this year. A turnover rate a little bit over 2 per game, but it's really 3 or 4 a game. Giving up points left and right. Not addressing what they really need. They bring Demetrius Bell in here, like he's the savior. Demetrius Bell. Has anybody even heard of this guy before the Eagles? Oh, he played for Pittsburgh. He must be a good player. Played for Pittsburgh. Well, if he's a good player, he played for Pittsburgh. Why would they get rid of him? Ridiculous. This offensive line, their play calling down the stretch was terrible. They used Juan Castillo to be the scapegoat because they had to shake up something, so he was the first one to go. They bring Todd Bowles in here. He used to be a head coach last year, an interim for Miami Dolphins, and comes out of Temple, so he gets the job right away. Did you call up Seth Joyner and give him the job? He really showed you how to run that defense. Guarantee it. Eagles are ashamed of themselves, and the Eagles fans have gotten cheated. Michael Vick has won game over 500 since he's been the starting quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. What's so great about the guy? What's so great about this guy that everyone's in love with him? He's played 30 games, his last 30 games, he's turned the ball over 29 times. Man has thrown 8 interceptions or 9 interceptions already. He has 14 turnovers, really 18 before they recovered. What's he? They always say, carrying the ball like a hot potato or a loaf of bread. What's he getting, a rash if he touches the football and he wants to hand it off to somebody? Is there a rash coming out of his hands? What is going on when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles? Their offensive line is terrible. The play calling is terrible. There's too many play calling. That's terrible also. It's always been Andy Reid's bad suit, not his long suit, but his short suit. And they do blow a lot of games. Last year they blew how many leads in the fourth quarter? 6, somewhere around there. Again, they had a chance to have the lead. First time they really had a lead in the fourth quarter 5 minutes ago, and a 10-point lead. And you know, a guy like Adam Scheffler beat you. Not the guy from ESPN. That's Adam Scheffler, whatever his name is. Adam Scheffler at tight end. He's beating you up. And then finally you start going to Calvin Jones, and he starts burning you. Because they're going to go to their best player. You know that. They sack Vic all over the place. Just making bad decisions, Michael Vick. Michael Vick's head's not shaped to be a quarterback, I promise you. I promise you, it's not shaped that way. They're going to make shakeups. He won't be with the team next year, I guarantee that. And Nick Foles will be your starting quarterback. But if they don't get him an offensive line, I don't care if you put Johnny Unitas down there, Dan Marino, Dan Faust, Bob Greasy, Sonny Jurgensen, Y.A. Tittle, Otto Graham, Steve Young, Joe Montana, Terry Bradshaw, Steve Young. I don't care who you put back there, Phil Simms, Eli Manning, or Peyton Manning. Without protection, you cannot win. Go back to the movie The Longest Yard, and Burt Reynolds, who says Paul Cruz, says, protect your quarterback. And they all start laughing. He says, oh, no, fellas, wait a minute. I'm serious here. Without me, you can't win. So you got to protect me. So I'm going to get the biggest offensive line guys around me. I'm not going to get a hangnail in this game. But if I can play through the whole game, we can win. This is our only chance. If you protect your quarterback, same thing goes in the NFL. If you can't protect your QB, like they did last night, look what Denver did to San Diego last night. 24-0 at halftime and lose 35-24. That's the biggest beating they've ever had in the history of football. Having a 24-point lead or more and blowing it, but losing by double digits never happened in football before. You witnessed last night on Monday Night Football. But did you witness how fierce that Denver defense was when they turned it up? And how many turnovers they caused? And how many scoring plays they had off of those turnovers? They scored 2 touchdowns that way. Because the defense was going after that quarterback. Jimmy Johnson was alive. That defense was fierce. You know, because they kept on going after the quarterback. They kept on putting pressure on him, blitzing the daylights out of him, and getting him on the ground, hitting the quarterback. And Stafford didn't even get a hangnail. He wasn't even supposed to play. First thing I do is I send a fort at him. I'll send all 11 guys. I don't care if I get a touchdown, but I'm going to bury that guy. I mean, bury him. Ridiculous. If the Philadelphia fans and the listeners of Philadelphia stations eat this crow that the Eagles put out there today, they're out of their minds. Their problem is their coach. The coach got to go, man. So what's so great about this guy that you got to keep him here? Go get Bill Cowher. He might even be able to put the pads back on and play for the Eagles. Be better than what they got there now. I'll tell you that, boy. Okay, that's my rant. That's my monologue for today. Let's give you the lineup for tonight. Tony McLean, Larry.